Thing rolling. Let me see if we can get this thing working. We should be good to go. Y'all know what time it is. We up in here on this Wednesday, hump day in the building. Back at it, looking all crispy and clean on the screen. And I have to say welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Classy Morning Show in the afternoon. I know we got a little late show today. Life be lifing sometimes, but you know we do not miss. It's great to see everybody in here. Shout out to the gang. I've got to say what's up to everybody who's in the building. Before I do, I have to remind y'all that we've got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about Fani Willis. We're going to have one of my favorite segments of the show. Fani Willis takes an L. Y'all know what time it is. ASAP Relli, as you guys saw in the title, he's doubling down on his recent lawsuit, civil lawsuit against ASAP Rocky and Joe Tacopina. We're going to get to that, as well as some updates when it comes to what's going on with this entire situation with LETITIA James, or LETITIA James, however you say. I don't know. I don't care. Shout out to the gang though. Let me say what's up to the people. We got everybody up in here. My awesome, amazing Amy is in here. First thing, reminding y'all to like the video, and of course that she is awesome and amazing. Shout out to Amy in here. We've got the big dog J Money is up in the building. Les Cleaver's in this thing. Shout out to Les Cleaver, Slim Life, New Jersey, Spring Flowers, Kelly Berg. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in here as well. Good to see you. CPE, A Fitz, good morning, good afternoon. We've got Jay Buckmaster's back at it. Good to see y'all. We got RD is in here. Taco Tuesday is in here. A day late. Well, not really a day late, just a day after Taco Tuesday. Mr. Brown's up in this thing too. So good to see so many of y'all. All right. You guys know what I'm going to do before we even get started with this show, and that is to beg you, to ask you to please make sure you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, it helps the channel continue to grow. It lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show. It shares the video, the channel, this live stream with more people. So if you could, out of the kindness of your heart, take less than a second and like the video. I would greatly appreciate it. There's already 14,000 of you that like the video. That's right. We're going to say 14,000. Thank you to all 14,000 of you that liked the video so far. That is amazing. They don't do that anywhere else, man. Y'all know we're going to give you a great show. We're going to have some great interactions, some great content, and all 14,000 of y'all, thank you so much for liking the video. That means a lot more than you absolutely know. So thank you. Also, if you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video as well. You click the share button. It also has an arrow curved and pointing to the right. You can share that to Instagram. You can share it to Facebook, X, and even in text in your group chat. All right, so let people know where you're going to be hanging out this afternoon. We're going to have a great time, get to some great content. I also will be acknowledging everyone who goes the extra mile and sends in some super chats. So many of y'all have already done that. Big thank you, big shout out to Les Cleaver up in this thing. Hold on a second, let me see. We still fighting that cough. We're gonna be all right though. Shout out to Les Cleaver. He just gifted 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Les Cleaver, make sure not only that you say thank you, but make sure you check out the members only content as well. You also get instant access to all the videos we drop on this channel. You don't have to wait until they're published. All the members on this channel get instant access to any videos we have here, as well as getting your name highlighted in the beautiful green. Shout out to the hardest working guy I know, Les Cleaver in here, who also drops a 20 bomb. Dang. He says, happy hump day, y'all. Let the day shine through and praise God for another day of life and living. Amen. May the Lord bless and keep each of you. Be filled with love and compassion for all despite our differences. Amen. Such a great message, man. Thank you for that, Les Cleaver. And appreciate the support too. Coming through in a major way. I thought I felt a sneeze coming, but it's gonna sneak up on me as soon as we start this first segment. Spring Flowers is in here. Shout out to Spring Flowers with the 10 bomb. Says, happy Wednesday. Hope you have a beautiful, blessed day filled with strength, peace, and endless possibilities. Thank you so much for the support, Spring Flowers, and for dropping the 10 bomb. And a reminder that every day is a blessing. Take it one day at a time. I know life gets crazy. Life gets overwhelming. Take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. And every second you get is a win in my book. All right. Thank you again to all 14,000 of y'all that have liked the video. We're going to go ahead and get into our next topic. This is probably going to be one of the quicker live streams that we've done. But y'all know, even though it's going to be a quick one, we've still got some amazing content to talk about with you all. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I want to give you guys a reminder of what's happening with this Fani Willis situation. If you missed it, I'll give you a little bit of a recap and a rewind. Fani Willis was covering and supposed to be prosecuting this case, or this election interference case against President Donald Trump. All right, things went on with her. They started to do some digging and found out that Fani Willis was doing some things she wasn't supposed to be doing. And the main thing she was doing was the person she hired to help prosecute this case. I'll leave that there. So Fani Willis, she ends up going through the process. She has to answer for what she did. She gets kicked off this case. She tries to appeal it. The Court of Appeal says, we're not even going to hear that, Fani Willis. We don't care what you got going on. You are not going to bring this appeal before the court. You're done. You're finished. You're off this case. Right? So now that happened, we fast forward a little bit and we have a judge who's going to make a decision and decide what's going to happen to this case against the president next. So we're waiting to find out what's going to be the decision there, if another prosecutor is going to pick this up. In my opinion, it's not likely. We're going to talk about the actual deadline being extended by the judge. And we're finally going to hear from Fani Willis after she got kicked off this case and has now been forced to testify. To give you guys a little bit of recap, check this out from Fox 5 News in Atlanta.
But we begin with breaking news in the ongoing saga over the Fulton County election interference investigation. A judge has issued a deadline or he will dismiss the case. Good evening. I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Russ Spencer. This afternoon, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee gave the state prosecuting attorney's counsel 14 days to appoint a new prosecutor in the case, or else that case will be dismissed. McAfee's order comes after courts removed Fulton County DA Fani Willis from the case. Last month, the state Supreme Court upheld her removal over the appearance of impropriety related to her romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, whom she hired. Even though Wade left the case last year, the courts ruled that DA Willis should no longer prosecute this case.
The judge's order follows a surprise announcement from the state capitol today. A state Senate committee that has questioned the actions of Willis in the 2020 election interference case dropped another bombshell. At the
end of a 90-minute public hearing, the committee chairman announced that Willis has apparently given up her legal fight and will testify before the committee next month.
Fox 5 News is at the state capitol with the details. A lot of new developments tonight, Deidre.
A lot of new developments, that announcement coming during a 90-minute session this morning, that hearing underway at the state capitol. And as it wound to a close, we did learn that attorneys have been negotiating behind the scenes, apparently, with the committee chairman announcing that DA Fani Willis has agreed to appear before the panel and answer their questions next month.
And shout out to Bill.
We need her input. We need her to tell us what does she think is appropriate behavior by prosecutors so that we can build it into the law.
Senator Bill Cowser chairs the Senate committee investigating Fulton County DA Fani Willis's alleged misconduct in connection with the Georgia elections interference case. After months of back and forth and legal challenges, the committee announced during Friday's hearing that Willis is scheduled to appear before them on November 13th.
I cannot wait until November 13th.
She has agreed to testify in front of our committee to honor our subpoena, and she wants to limit the scope of the questions. I'm negotiating that with her attorney now.
Willis came under fire after she was accused by one of the defendants in the elections interference case of having an inappropriate relationship with former special prosecutor Nathan Wade and having financially benefited from that relationship. Both Wade and Willis denied the accusations, but following multiple hearings and appeals, Wade stepped down. In September, the state Supreme Court held up a lower court ruling disqualifying DA Willis from the case.
I keep repeating, we're not on some witch hunt against Fani Willis here. You know, that's been left up to the judicial system, and essentially the courts have removed her from prosecution for a variety of reasons.
The Senate committee doesn't have the power to prosecute Willis or remove her from office, but can make recommendations as to whether new laws or ethical guidelines are needed for DAs in Georgia.
I think that's a good thing. She's been the center of attention so much, so it'll be good for her to actually come and give her side of it, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So it's time for Fani Willis to answer. That's a little bit of a background for you guys on that. Now we're actually going to hear from Fani Willis herself. Finally, she gets to say what's going on, how she feels about the recent decision. Y'all know she's probably going to play the victim. I have not heard this yet, so I'm hearing it from the first time with you guys. It actually the news just broke within the last 24 hours. Let's see what Fani has to say. Lord.
Let's get to a Channel 2 Action News exclusive here at 6 o'clock. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is reacting to a Georgia Supreme Court's decision that effectively keeps her off the election interference case against President Donald Trump and others. New at 6, Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie live now in downtown Atlanta. So Mark, the DA referred to a culture of fear.
Yeah, the explanation of what first the trial court judge and then the Georgia Court of Appeals and finally the Supreme Court of Georgia did concerning the election interference case could get mired down in technical legal details. But I think it's fair to say that what DA Fani Willis told us did not get bogged down in technicalities.
Here she goes.
What's your reaction to what the Georgia Supreme Court did or elected not to do?
I think judges are human beings. We are living in a culture of fear. It did not surprise me.
Our appointment for an interview with Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis involved a story we're pursuing about a recent murder conviction. But she says while we were there, she was willing to talk to us about another big story involving a recent Georgia Supreme Court decision in which the state's highest court voted 4-3 not to hear the DA's office's appeal of a lower court's effective removal of Ms. Willis in her office as prosecutors in the election interference case in which now President Donald Trump and others have pled not guilty. And as usual, she was not going to pull punches.
I think you have both prosecutors, citizens, and even judges that are afraid right now for good reason. And so it didn't surprise.
No. We're afraid of you, Fanny. We're afraid of you. You're able and have the ability to bring baseless RICO charges against people for making music together, being in the same place, and knowing each other. And the main person wasn't even involved. So, no, we ain't scared of nothing other than Fannie
Going to
Willis.
pull punches.
I'm not scared. I'm good. But
prosecutors, citizens, and even judges that are afraid right now for good reason. And so it didn't surprise me. There's many members of that Supreme Court I'm very fond of, but they're human beings. They have families, and I'm sure they were afraid to do anything other than that.
We reached out to a public information officer for the Supreme Court of Georgia.
So again, a severe lack of accountability. It has nothing to do with her inappropriate relationship with Nathan Wade. It has nothing to do with her hiring her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, and paying him over $500,000. Nothing to do with any of that. It's all because they're afraid. It's because they're afraid of the president and what he might do. No, maybe it's because you just messed up, Fanny. If somebody else wants to prosecute this, they can. But it sounds like Fanny agrees with me in saying that nobody wants to try a case against a sitting president. It doesn't make sense. We'll see what happens.
Who emailed, I cannot comment beyond what the court has already said in its written opinions about these cases.
The Supreme Court only addresses issues of greater legal importance to the entire state of Georgia. And they said this case wasn't one of those cases.
For perspective, we turn to defense lawyer and former DeKalb District Attorney Robert James.
The Supreme Court specifically did not make a finding about DA Willis's conduct.
We reached out to Steve Sadow, lawyer for President Trump. Sadow's statement said in part, quote, Willis's reaction to the Georgia Supreme Court's fundamentally correct decision, refusing to hear the case by claiming it was due to its fear of President Trump, is absolutely ludicrous, unquote. It added, quote, she brought a political prosecution against the 45th and 47th president of the U.S. who is innocent, unquote. It also said, quote, she refused to accept the odor of mendacity found by the trial court and simply expected the Georgia Court of Appeals to gloss over it, unquote. The statement concluded, quote, her disqualification was the result of what she did and for no other reason, unquote. DA Willis says she believes the executive director of the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, who bears the responsibility of trying to find another prosecutor to take over the election interference case or to keep it for PAC, has a tough job.
The reality is it's going to be hard to find a prosecutor that's not afraid to prosecute that case when one of the primary defendants is threatening anyone that would dare to prosecute them. Not only do they not have the resources to do the case, but there's fear-mongering going on right now.
And there aren't that many.
I disagree. I mean, again, you're going against the president. I think anybody in that situation, unless there's just an overwhelming amount of evidence, would not want to try this. It just doesn't make sense at all. If there's something there, try it and let the evidence show what the evidence shows. Otherwise, I mean, what are you going to do? And she's doing all this talking, yet agreed to testify.
Resources to do the case, but there's fear-mongering going on right now.
And there aren't that many very large DA's offices in Georgia with the resources to handle something like this. And number two, politically, it's a hot potato.
I read some of defense lawyer Steve Sadow's comments to DA Willis. She said she would not dignify it with a response. Reporting live in downtown Atlanta, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.
Yeah, she wouldn't let it dignify. Okay. All right, Fanny. She's so full of it, man. It's crazy. So let's see what the judge had to say about moving the deadline. We talked about this deadline where they would have a certain amount of time to decide who is going to try this case or who's going to have an opportunity to try it. Looks like the judge officially decided on a new date and how much time they're going to have to find someone else to try this case. Judge sets November 14th deadline for new prosecutor in Georgia election case against Trump. A judge says that the agency tasked with finding a prosecutor to take over Georgia election interference case against President Donald Trump and others can have a little bit more time, but not as much time as they wanted. It's not much time at all. What will happen to the case has been uncertain since Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis was disqualified herself, I think we should say, from continuing the prosecution over an appearance of impropriety caused by a romantic relationship she had with the prosecutor she hired and paid an exorbitant amount of money, even though he had little to no experience trying this type of case. But again, it's all out of fear of Donald Trump, right? Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee earlier this month said that if the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, the PAC, didn't appoint a new prosecutor or request a particularized extension within 14 days, he would dismiss the case. But Pete Sedakis, I always mess up. Pete S., we're just going to say, the council's executive director said Monday in a court filing that his office had yet to receive the physical case file and didn't expect to receive it for about 4 weeks. He asked Judge McAfee to reconsider in order to give him at least 90 days after he received the case file to appoint a new prosecutor. The judge said, "Nah, we ain't doing that." One day, Judge McAfee gave Pete less than half the time he had requested, setting a new deadline of November 14th. The judge said if Pete requested, he would sign an order to force Willis's office to hand over the investigative file more quickly. Without the case file, Pete has said he cannot intelligently answer the question of anyone requests to take appointment or do his own due diligence in finding a prosecutor who is not encumbered by a significant appearance of impropriety. He wrote that because of the complexity of the election case and the extensive resources required to handle it, it will require time to find someone to take it over. Well, good luck with that, because you ain't finding anybody. I'm not going to go through this whole article. Y'all can read it for yourself over on the PBS website. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments in the chat. Are they going to find somebody else to try this? If it were you, would you want to try this case? Do you think there's even anything there in the first place? In my opinion, they're not going to find anyone. It would be silly for someone to try this. The evidence isn't there. We've seen a lot of this play out. A lot of this, it seemed retaliatory by the Biden administration. We won't get into all of that, but it's just time for them to let it go. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Bunch of BS, man. And Fanny's like, oh, everybody's scared. Who would want to try this case against the president that's acting this way? I mean, if there's something there, then try it. Dang. I mean, shout out and with all due credit to Letitia James, she tried a case against the now president and won. So if the evidence is there, don't be scared. Do what you got to do. Do your job. I mean, I don't know what we're talking about here. Thank you to all 1,000 of you that are in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in here. I appreciate y'all. I bet the average citizen wishes they could testify and dictate the scope of questions they will answer. Wouldn't that be nice? You ain't got to lie to kick it, says J Money. It's that easy. Yeah, she waved the white flag and said, I'm done. I wonder if she's going to snitch. Is Fani Willis going to snitch on somebody? Oh my gosh. I'm driving home with the wife. Be right back. Be safe out there, Mr. Brown. Appreciate you. Fanny, tell them how you're above the law. Nobody's above the law except for me. Letitia James. No one's above the law except for me. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. I just, it was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. I mean, we're really going to worry about this? Come on, guys. Yeah, we're going to talk about Letitia coming up shortly. I want to read some more of your comments on this because this Fanny situation is getting wild, and I cannot wait until we get to hear Fani Willis testify before that committee and see the attitude. It's going to be fun. Good morning to everyone, and good afternoon to y'all, some of y'all that are stopping by. Looks like it's going nowhere but to be dismissed. I agree. I agree. It's looking rough. All right. Thank you to everyone that's liked the video so far. And we're going to keep it moving. We're actually going through these pretty quick, but this is going to be a fun one. And I need to double check and make sure I still have this in case we need to go over it. Yep. Looks like we're good. I've got this indictment for LETITIA James, not to be confused, and no relation to LeBron James. All right. Although they both get on my nerves. Excuse me. LETITIA James had a crooked judge in her pocket. Is that true? What? I didn't see all of that. We're going to talk about more issues that LETITIA is running into because it's not looking great for her. Oh, did I not put her picture up here? Give me 1 second. I've got a picture of Mrs. James in here. Yeah, that's wild. So in response and in relation to LETITIA James, y'all know we've covered the indictment here. We've seen what LETITIA is facing when it comes to this fraud situation and how ugly it's about to get. There have been forensic investigators who've come out and said, we've looked at the documents. We've seen what she's done. It's going to be an interesting battle for her because it's clear that she not only committed mortgage fraud, she committed tax fraud and possibly most likely committed insurance fraud. I don't know which one out of the three is worse, but either way, there could be more coming forward when it comes to an updated or a superseding indictment. So we're going to get into it here. LETITIA James is now being accused of harboring a fugitive. This story just gets crazier and crazier and worse for this woman. Y'all check this out.
A small 3-bedroom home in Norfolk, Virginia continues to cause trouble for New York State Attorney General LETITIA James. Last week, James was indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia on charges of bank fraud and making false claims to a financial institution. Prosecutors allege the 66-year-old New York prosecutor bought the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom Norfolk, Virginia home in August 2020 for roughly $137,000, most of which was financed with a $109,600 loan that prohibited it from being used as a rental investment property. Her ill-gotten gains from the lower mortgage rate amounted to approximately $18,933 over the life of the loan, prosecutors allege.
Yikes.
But now, in a shocking addition to the federal charges brought against James, new reporting also alleges that at least one of the Norfolk home's inhabitants is wanted by police, James's own grandniece, Nakia Thompson.
Oh no, come on, LETITIA. She's harboring a fugitive now, collecting rent from her. And I mean, I haven't read this full article yet, but God forbid she is running from the law and the fugitive in New York. That would be insane.
Is wanted by police, James's own grandniece, Nakia Thompson. According to court documents seen by the Daily Mail, Thompson is officially listed as an absconder who is wanted by authorities in Forsyth County, North Carolina, for failing to finish her probation.
Okay, it's North Carolina.
Keith Ackrey from the North Carolina Department of Corrections told the Mail that the 36-year-old was sentenced to probation for misdemeanor convictions for assault and battery and trespassing, and has willfully avoided probation supervision. Ackrey added that Thompson's crimes were considered low-level and thus non-extraditable. The under fire prosecutor's grandniece has reportedly been living with her 3 children in James's 3-bedroom property in Norfolk since 2020. James has called the charges baseless and political retribution from President Trump. In her first public appearance since the indictment, James joined a rally for NYC mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani and called on rally-goers to stand together to defend our rights.
Shout out to North Carolina.
Firebrand New York Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even sent out an email urging her supporters to throw some bucks to James to fight back against her federal indictment. If convicted on both counts, James faces up to 60 years in prison and a fine of up to $2 million.
60 years in prison. Yes, you heard that right. Let's go ahead and get into it. Shout out to the New York Post, who has been all over this. Fugitive grandniece who assaulted cops lived in Letitia James's fraud house. Wow, what an article. What a headline to put up there. We're going to read the article here to give you guys more insight into what happened, what went down, and why she's possibly looking at facing more time in prison. This is wild, man. You got to be careful who you have in your circle. This is the mortgage document New York AG Letitia James signed that has her facing 60 years in prison. Is that for real? A one-page mortgage document signed by the New York State Attorney General Letitia James is at the center of a federal criminal charges for which she now faces 60 years in federal prison. It's insane. In the second home rider for her mortgage, which is obtained by the Post, James attests that the property would be a second home occupied primarily by her, which is not true, allegedly. It allows her to secure a better mortgage rate from Old Virginia Mortgage / Annie Mac, also known as Fannie Mae, netting her nearly $19,000 in mortgage savings, according to federal prosecutors. All right. In reality, James's serial criminal grandniece, Nakia Thompson, moved in soon after she closed on the house, according to the New York Times. This just gets worse. So she bought the house, and then she had her grandniece, who was running from the law, move in right after that. And according to her tax returns, Miss James never even was in the property, rarely in the property. Much of the strength of this case, which alleges James committed federal bank fraud and made misstatements to a financial institution, could rest on whether Thompson was paying rent. Also, again, we have the tax fraud on this. Was she putting on her tax return how much she was making off the property? And we have the insurance fraud that could potentially go along with that, right? Allegedly. But the relative of New York's top prosecutor told a grand jury in June that she was living rent-free in the 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. James' signature appears at the bottom of the mortgage rider, and it was dated August 17th of 2020, which explicitly lays out what the home can and cannot be used for, where she's going to run into an issue. And y'all can see the picture here. I wish I could zoom in and show you this, but unfortunately we don't have it. But it has her name here, and it has the information, the sale of the house, and what the issues are there. We've got some more pictures coming up too. Among the covenants on the rider were a requirement that James would occupy and use the property as a second home and maintain exclusive control over its occupancy, which it seems like she did. She just decided who was going to be there. She also attested that the property would be available primarily for her personal use for at least 1 year. She was playing the game. The signed document forbids any shared ownership agreement requiring her to rent the property out, or give a management firm or any other person or entity any control over the occupancy of the property or use of the property, and that would be primary for her own personal use. So, it seems like this may be somewhat of a loophole. Because if this statement is true, then it seems like if she wasn't collecting rent, if a lease wasn't signed by her grandniece, then she might be okay. All right. So it says, let me read this again. It says this signed document forbids any shared ownership. All right. And it requires Letitia to rent the property out or give a management firm or any other person or entity any control over the occupancy or use of the property. And that it would be primarily for her own personal use. Does she have a defense here? I think it could be argued that she's fine. All right. Here's another document here that basically says what we just read, right? All right. And then the document goes so far as to include a section saying James would be considered in default on the $109,600 loan if she or anyone else acted at her direction, gave inaccurate information or statements regarding her occupancy of the residence as a second home. That's going to be a problem if it's true. All right. Much of the case could hinge on Thompson's statement that she wasn't paying rent. Prosecutors said in her indictment that James filed tax documents showing she spent 0 days in the house and that she received thousands of dollars in rental income. Could it be from this property? Could it be from other properties? We'll have to find that out. She also claimed exemptions for money she spent on the property, according to documents. Again, that's not good. Here's the tax documents here. And it says, however, Thompson, her niece, criminal record come back to haunt James, one legal expert said. The 36-year-old is a fugitive from justice in North Carolina, where she's pleaded guilty to assaulting a cop in 2011. She also has a lengthy rap sheet in Virginia, including grand larceny and possession of burglary tools. If Thompson was called as a defense witness, prosecutors could seek to use her criminal history to direct her testimony, said former prosecutors NR, because I'm going to mess up his name. And here's the document here. It'll be up to the judge in the case to decide whether to allow Thompson's criminal history to be used to impeach her, he said. James was hit with federal charges out of the Eastern District of Virginia last week, alleging the home was not occupied or used by James as a secondary residence and was instead used as a rental investment property. Her alleged misrepresentation of the domicile as a second home allowed James to obtain a lower interest rate of 3%, U.S. attorneys for the Eastern Virginia Lindsay Halligan alleges, which saved New York's top cop $18,933 in interest payments and seller credits. Yeah, I think she got a discount of, it was like 0.815% or something like that. Again, not crazy significant, but if it's against the law, it's against the law, right? James has denied wrongdoing and claimed the charges are a result of political targeting by Trump and the administration. Hold on a second. Have y'all heard Letitia James deny any wrongdoing? I think this is an incorrect statement by the New York Post. I've reviewed and we've reviewed here several statements from Letitia James, and not once have I heard her say, guys, I didn't do this. It wasn't me. I don't know what they're talking about. This is wrong. There's no issue here. So maybe I'm missing something, but we've reviewed what Letitia has said several times, and I haven't heard a denial of wrongdoing. She was a defendant as she was defiant as she appeared at the rally we just saw a clip from in Washington Heights on Monday. She said, we see powerful voices trying to silence the truth and push dissent and weaponize justice for political gain, she told supporters of Democratic Socialist New York mayor frontrunner. We are witnessing the fraying of our democracy, the erosion of our system of government, James grandiosely stated, she says, describing the current state of politics as a defining moment in our history. All right. What do y'all think about this when it comes to Letitia? Is she going to have an issue with her niece running from the law and staying in her house? I don't know if that's going to be an issue. How's that going to be used by the defense? Is she wrong in this case? And is she going to have to be held accountable? I want to know what many of you think. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Are you of the belief that who cares? I mean, I can understand that as well. Let me know what y'all think. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Shout out to the gang. Excuse me. I apologize, guys. I'm still getting through the last bit of this cough. Thank you again to all 900 of y'all that are in the building. This whole Letitia James situation is absolutely insane. And it makes me wonder what the defense is going to be moving forward. Because is the defense going to be, oh, well, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just some sort of an error. That's going to be tough to me if she doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down multiple times about how this residence was going to be used and didn't use it that way, right? Unless Virginia extradites her to where she is from, it won't happen, assuming they even arrest her. Yeah, in North Carolina. Yes, the judge took it upon himself to not allow a jury trial where, in all fairness, it should have gone to a jury trial. Just saying. Really? That is interesting. Very interesting. Oh, shout out to Amy over here with the super chat. Amy over here dropping the cake super chat. Reminding me it's almost time, if not past lunch. Shout out to Amy, always bringing the cake. Absolutely love it, man. The cake is cake that ever caked up in this thing. Thank you, Amy. Absolutely amazing. I appreciate the support as always. She does it all, man. If y'all didn't know, Amy does have a channel, and if you haven't checked out her content, make sure you go do that. The link to Amy's channel is in the description. You can go over there, support her, check out the premiere. She had a premiere earlier today. Some absolutely crazy and insane content. So if y'all haven't subscribed, go make sure that you subscribe to Amy's channel. Check it out. Show her some love because she has some excellent content over there. She does it all, man. I got to give her another round of applause. Absolutely amazing. All right, let me see. Let me get these comments in here. Let me double check and make sure we're good. Oh, and thank you, J Money, for posting the link to Amy's channel in there again, too. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to play this video for y'all one more time, and I will be right back. Let me do this real quick.
Home in Norfolk, Virginia continues to cause trouble for New York State Attorney General LETITIA James. Last week, James was indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia on charges of bank fraud and making false claims to a financial institution. Prosecutors allege the 66-year-old New York prosecutor bought the 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom Norfolk, Virginia home in August 2020 for roughly $137,000, most of which was financed with a $109,600 loan that prohibited it from being used as a rental investment property. Her ill-gotten gains from the lower mortgage rate amounted to approximately $18,933 over the life of the loan, prosecutors allege. But now, in a shocking addition to the federal charges brought against James, new reporting also alleges that at least one of the Norfolk home's inhabitants is wanted by police, James's own grandniece, Nakia Thompson. According to court documents seen by the Daily Mail, Thompson is officially listed as an absconder who is wanted by authorities in Forsyth County, North Carolina, for failing to finish her probation. Keith Ackrey from the North Carolina Department of Corrections told the Mail that the 36-year-old was sentenced to probation for misdemeanor convictions for assault and battery and trespassing, and has willfully avoided probation supervision. Ackrey added that Thompson's crimes were considered low-level and thus non-extraditable. The under fire prosecutor's grandniece has reportedly been living with her 3 children in James's 3-bedroom property in Norfolk since 2020. James has called the charges baseless and political retribution from President Trump. In her first public appearance since the indictment, James joined a rally for NYC mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani and called on rally-goers to stand together to defend our rights.
I'm not buying it.
Firebrand New York Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even sent out an email urging her supporters to throw some bucks to James to fight back against her federal indictment. If convicted on both counts, James faces up to 60 years in prison and a fine of up to $2 million. All
right, so there's the story. Oh, we are not going to the next story. No, we're not worried about that. All right, let me get out of here. All right, so let's get into our next story. Again, thank you to all 1,000 of you that are in the building. I appreciate every single one of you that are in here. We're going to be talking about ASAP Relli. And I guess I need to get y'all up to date because many of you may not have been here for that entire ASAP Relli situation. Let me see. I know I had a picture of Rocky. Could even put a picture of Joe Tacopina up here, but let me see if I've got ASAP Rocky in here. All right, here we go. So let's get rid of LETITIA James. Let me see how y'all are doing. Thank you, Amy, for dropping the links in there, reminding everybody to like the video. J Money, drop the link to, excuse me, drop the link to Amy's channel too. So if y'all haven't yet, make sure you go subscribe. We've also got Valencia's in the building. What's up? Good to see you in here this afternoon. Peyton Johnson, it's an ugly house. Oh, hey, don't do that. Leave LETITIA's house alone. All right, so let me see. I think we've got everything here. This is going to be a fun one. I've been looking forward to this. myself, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been holding on to this one just for the right moment to where we could talk about what's going on with ASAP Relli. So let's get into it. And this was recently filed as well. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Boom. All right, got it. Here we go. So if you haven't been following what's been going on with this ASAP Relli civil lawsuit situation, I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown here. So basically, ASAP Rocky went to trial for allegedly shooting ASAP Relli in his hand, right? We went through and covered that trial day by day by day. We even had my guy Joe Tacopina here on the channel after the trial took place, just talking about how crazy that situation was, right? Relli, he went up on the stand, he lied, played the victim, and it turned out the jury saw it the right way. And I think what the evidence showed is that ASAP Rocky was not guilty and he was innocent of all the charges. So now moving forward, ASAP Relli still had this civil lawsuit that was pending against Joe Tacopina and against ASAP Rocky for defamation, because ASAP Relli did not like what they were saying about him before the trial. He didn't like what they were saying about him during the trial and even after the trial. So Relli doubled down on the civil lawsuit. He was represented by some pretty heavy hitters. Once the trial took place and the heavy hitters saw what was going on in the trial, they actually dropped him and he's no longer represented by them. Relli was representing himself for a period of time in this civil lawsuit because some of the attorneys who were on his case just didn't want anything to do with it. And now it appears he does have another attorney helping him or representing him in a certain way, right? So let's go ahead and look at what's going on. There was a motion to strike. Relli, obviously, he's responding here. Joe Tacopina, ASAP Rocky, they're saying, listen, guys, this whole defamation thing, it was freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say this guy's a liar. I'm allowed to say that I think he's being dishonest and that I think he's just doing this because he wants to get some money, because as some of the evidence will show, that's exactly what he was doing. So now we have this declaration from Relli, ASAP Relli, aka Terrell Efron. We'll just call him ASAP Relli. And what does he say? Shout out to Cat Not Williams for posting this. She says, this is a new declaration from Terrell Efron in his defamation case against ASAP Rocky and Joe Tacopina. What does he say? I, Terrell Efron, ASAP Relli, hereby declare as follows. On November 6, 2021, I spoke with ASAP Rocky by phone and text messages during which ASAP Rocky requested that I meet him in LA. I met ASAP Rocky around 10:15 p.m. on November 6th of 2021 near that address. At the meeting, ASAP Rocky initiated a verbal altercation. He then brandished a handgun, pointed it at me, and fired 2 shots. After firing the handgun, ASAP Rocky fled the scene on foot. As a result of the statements made by the defendants, ASAP Rocky and Joe Tacopina, I was struck in the hand by one of those bullets. We know. Stop the cap. It's not true. It's just not true. All right. Fired during the shooting, causing physical injury. I have suffered damages personally, professionally, and reputationally, including damage to my personal brand and my reputation. I will 1000% agree with that, but it's not because of my guy Joe Tacopina or ASAP Rocky. It's because of the way Relli handled himself throughout this entire trial, and specifically the criminal trial, and even before and after that. All right, developing business and professional opportunities, network, and goodwill. I declare under penalty of perjury, pursuant to the laws of the state of California, that the following is true and correct, executed this day, the 6th of October in Miami-Dade County, Florida. All right. So again, really just, you got to sit down, brother, because this isn't it. This isn't it. And saying this is true, we've seen you lie on the stand. It's going to be hard to believe, but we'll have to see what the jury says. And then this declaration, Kat says, was filed as a supplement to Efron's opposition to ASAP Rocky and Joe Tacopina's special motion to strike. And we're going to look at some of the motion to strike here to help give you guys a little bit more of a background. Okay, so check this out. And we've got the date here, which it says October 23rd, but I don't know how that could be possible. Let's update on October 23rd. I think they have that wrong. But ASAP Rocky or ASAP Relli respectfully submits the following opposition to the special motion to strike the plaintiff Terrell Efron's first and second causes of action filed by the defendant Joe Tacopina and Tacopina and Siegel and Diorio and ASAP Rocky. All right, what happened here? ASAP Rocky fired 2 shots during a verbal altercation with the plaintiff Terrell Efron, ASAP Relli, one of which struck Efron on the hand. That is a lie. The incident is on video. We saw it. We can see clearly what happened, that there wasn't a bullet that struck Relli in the hand. Honestly, many of us think the reason that ASAP Relli had scratches on his hand was because he was fighting with someone, right? He was wrestling and then he got his knuckle scraped, but we'll see that at a later date if this gets televised, which it probably won't. It says it was witnessed by multiple bystanders. It resulted in criminal charges filed by the LA County Department District Attorney. Nevertheless, in a public relations gambit calculated to turn public opinion against Tyrell Efron and coerce him into dropping the incident, ASAP Rocky, through his attorney at Tacopina Law, began giving press interviews during which he claimed that the shooting was fabricated, a cash grab, and a plain and blatant classic attempt at extortion. I agree. When ASAP Relli filed a defamation action, defendants went back to the press to call his action a publicity stunt and ASAP Rocky an extortionist. I think he is. We saw evidence of that throughout the trial. So again, if this does go to trial, I think the defense is going to have an easy time showing that not only are their accusations true, but they have a right to say how they feel about ASAP Relli. When ASAP Relli filed an amended complaint to address the second round of defamation, defendants filed their motion under California's anti-SLAPP statute, which is a hilarious title, by the way. Despite years of on-point and binding case law from the appellate courts, holds that defendants under these circumstances are not entitled to the protection of the anti-SLAPP statute or the litigation privilege. The motion should be denied with the fees and costs assessed during the defendants pursuant to such and such for 3 independently dispositive reasons. All right, here we go. First, false accusations that a person committed a crime, here extortion and assault, are not protected by California's anti-SLAPP statute, which applies only to constitutionally protected speech about a public issue. Defendants' minimal efforts to suggest that their statements are irrelevant to the public issue because ASAP Rocky and his wife are famous are contradicted by controlling case law cited below. That doesn't make sense at all. Second, defendants does not appear to dispute the merits of the plaintiff's claims at all. They offer no evidence with their motion and do not attempt to argue that they did not make the alleged misstatements or that the statements were true. Plaintiff, for his part, has submitted clear evidence that the shooting happened and that the defendant's statements were knowingly false and defamatory. This unrebutted evidence more than demonstrates the minimal merit required to defeat a motion under the anti-SLAPP statute, which is not designed to guard against liable claims. That is a fair point. And again, Joe's not backing down and saying, hey, I didn't say that. He said, I'm allowed to say that. I think you're a piece of you know what? Is that true? It seems like it would be. Third, the defendants based their entire motion on the application of the litigation privilege. Okay, I'm not going through all of this. All right. And then the factual background we have here, you guys know the story. We read it earlier. On November 6, 2021, ASAP Rocky said, hey, let's meet up. ASAP Relli got there. There was a verbal altercation. He brandished a handgun, fired multiple times, striking Efron in the hand, causing an injury, which is a lie. ASAP Rocky then fled the scene on foot. The incident was witnessed by bystanders, as we already know. Okay, so here's what Relli has an issue with. Just one of the things. I'll read it real quick. On or about September 16th of 2022, Joe Tacopina, as counsel for ASAP Rocky, gave an interview to TMZ that was published in an article titled, ASAP Rocky, I never shot him. It's an extortion attempt. I agree. Tacopina is quoted as saying, among other things, that the assault claims asserted by ASAP Relli were a cash grab, get rich quick scheme, and extortion attempt. The plaintiff had threatened to make false claims and accusations. The plaintiff wasn't hit by bullet fragments and that no shot was even fired. Okay, so there were shots fired, but are we talking about shots from a real gun or shots from a prop gun? And ASAP Relli was even heard saying and seen saying that he was going to get rich. He's like, I'm going to be, what did he say? I'm going to be itch. But he meant to say rich. All right. So he goes through all the factual background. We know his sob story. All right. So here's his argument. They're making false accusations regarding criminal conduct. It's not protected under the anti-SLAPP statute. All right. I'll let the lawyers argue that. We know Relli is full of BS, whatever. Plaintiffs' per se defamation case are meritorious, and thus the anti-SLAPP statute does not apply. All right. ASAP Rocky was shot and then defamed. He was not shot. I'm not buying it. To defendants' public statements to the press, and this is the litigation privilege does not apply. Okay, we're going through that. We're going to let the lawyers and attorneys handle that part. Plaintiff is entitled to attorney's fees and expenses pursuant to section 425. Okay. And then, of course, this is signed by here. I guess this is his new attorney, Ryan D. Saba. Shout out to Ryan. He must be bored. And then in conclusion, they say defendant's motion to strike is meritless under long established precedent and should be denied with cost awarded to the plaintiff. Now, we didn't go through all the legalese of this entire document, but it seems that Relli may have a good point here when it comes to how the anti-SLAPP can be applied to this motion to strike. Now, I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. I can also leave a link to this full document if you want to look at this document yourself and see, maybe get more insight into what's going on. And if you don't know the background, you can get some more information there. Let me know what y'all think. Shout out to ASAP Relli, man. This guy, he doesn't quit. He's trying to get his money one way or another. This is to show the truthfulness. This is to show how truthful these authorities are, but in some applications, it has a question about or honesty. If we knew that the family members had broke the law, would we report that person? Yeah. Yes. You call that snitching if you want to. Yeah. Harboring a fugitive. Yep, she's wrong. I mean, did she have knowledge of that? This still seems like there's so much you would have to prove there. Who knows? Who knows? He just needs to drop the whole case and go about his business, get a job at McDonald's, something. Thousands of messages showing young GOP leaders using every racial slur and joking about GA Chambers slavery. It's sickening. Sadly, most people assume this is how they talk. Guess they were right. Ooh, I don't know what that's in reference to. That sounds a little spicy, as they say over there. But either way, yeah, Relli, time to let it go. Let it go. I don't think that's going to happen, though, because he needs the money, clearly. And he's trying to pursue this, and he's got a lawyer that he's got to pay to. Wild stuff, man. Thank y'all for the love, man. Shout out to all 1,000 plus of you that are in the building. Thank you to all 1,500 of you that liked the video. I told you guys it was going to be a quick one today, but do not worry. Not only are we dropping some clips throughout the afternoon, but we will be back tomorrow as usual during our usual time. So make sure y'all look out for that. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live or drop a new video. Thank you to everyone who went the extra mile, not only liked the video, shared the video, but dropped super chats over there as well. Shout out to the super chat gang, Les Cleaver, Spring Flowers, and my awesome, amazing Amy, always holding it down. We got Song of the Night tonight. We got a versus challenge tonight, so make sure y'all tune in for that if you want to hear or are interested in hearing some independent music from the community. As always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Y'all have a great, excellent